What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering. Happy Saturday. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I uploaded 3 videos yesterday in case you missed any, including a righteous anime-filled celebration of getting the monetization back for VTubers and Hollow Live creators, and that was 100% because of all of you all sharing the message. So make sure you check out that video. I think my editor outed himself as a super ultra weeb because he seemed to have fun with that one. But nonetheless, the ride that is Warcraft 3 Reforged has not stopped. It has not only been downhill, but it has since crashed through the floor into a new sub-basement that I didn't know was possible. And there's actually a huge award to give Warcraft 3. The only award that no game developer wants, but they just earned it this morning. Before I get into that, just a super quick word from this video's sponsor. Many of you have noticed the art behind me. Those are disc plates, high quality prints on metal. It doesn't require any additional tools to be mounted on the wall. All you need to do is attach a magnet and put your disc plate on it. Recently, Displate partnered up with Star Wars and created officially licensed print on metal. Click the link in the description below to save some huge money on your Displate purchase, and your purchases go directly to support the channel. Now, if you aren't following the debacle that is Warcraft 3, you'll know it is a gigantic mess. Just out of Forbes in the last couple hours, we've seen Warcraft 3 Reforged was clearly not ready for release, so why did Blizzard rush it out? This comes from Eric Kane on Forbes. Shout out to Eric, putting out some good work here. It seems obvious now that Warcraft 3 Reforged was not ready for prime time. Gamers who purchased the game are upset. Gamers who didn't purchase the game but owned the original Warcraft 3 are also upset, since the problems with the former actually impact the latter. That's right. Because they share server space and things like that, if you had just been rocking the old version, Warcraft 3, you are now forced to deal with problems from Reforged. I think that's probably a first of any kind, although maybe with sequels like Grand Theft Auto 4 to Grand Theft Auto 5, maybe that caused the problem. I'm not entirely sure. I don't remember. But this is legendary levels of fail. Add to that the fact that stories are coming out of the Blizzard forums where users who are actively trying to help other users achieve refunds are being banned. The fact that there are memes everywhere of Warcraft 3 instead of saying Reforged, obviously saying refunded. This is not a good look for Blizzard. And to be honest with you, yikes. I thought things were on an upward trajectory. I've got to be honest. Let's take all the PR stuff out of here. Let's take Hong Kong out of it, which is hard for many of us, including myself. WoW Classic was a success. If it didn't appeal to you, that's okay. It appealed to a lot of people, and it re-upped a ton of subscriptions. The latest expansion coming down the road for World of Warcraft, people seem excited for it, which was unveiled at BlizzCon, or of course leaked before BlizzCon, Shadowlands, I believe it's called. That looks pretty sweet. You had obviously the announcement for Diablo 4, getting everybody hyped up. They had been on a kind of overall positive trajectory, but then you saw the kind of Overwatch half sequel get announced that doesn't really make sense because you can still play it with the original version of Overwatch, but you should buy the new version. I don't think anyone really understands what's going on there. On top of that, there's a ton of turmoil inside of Blizzard with their esports division. That's been going on for months. Obviously, HOTS was a complete give up for them. I won't say failure, but you know, it was not, obviously they abandoned it, so that's not a good sign. And then with Warframe 3 Reforged, they decided that we don't want another Dota situation. We don't want another League of Legends situation. So we're going to own all of the custom maps that the users make. Now, I understand from a corporate standpoint why you would think this is a good idea, but I do think that why not have a contingency where, if a user creates a map, you have right of first refusal, meaning, okay, I created a map, Blizzard gets to match any offer you receive selling it to anyone else or something like this. This would seem like a more friendly thing to do. If I invented a custom game or a custom map that spawned a new game and someone was offering me $1 million but Blizzard had the right to buy, I don't care. That's $1 million. I'm buying a lot of ring pops and Twizzlers, so it doesn't really matter to me who pays me. But they didn't do that. They decided that, hey, we're just going to own it. Anyway, there's a lot going on with this, but it's culminating in a wonderful, wonderful mess. Indeed, gamers are so upset. The user score on Reforged Metacritic is one of the lowest in history. The game is glitchy, cutscenes are missing, and in some cases aren't what Blizzard even advertised. There are online connectivity issues and issues with connecting custom campaigns. It's oddly buggy release for a remaster of a game that's been out for decades. So why would Activision release the game now when it still suffered so many problems? Sadly, it's fairly clear. Activision Blizzard's fourth quarter financials is almost at an end. 2019's Q4 report is scheduled for February 6th, which is next Thursday, which means that even with a delayed release of January 28th, 2020, the game's first week and a half of sales will count towards Activision Blizzard's net sales and profits. Of course, the counter to this is that Activision Blizzard may have very well benefited more from the game sales in quarter one of 2020. After all, there's no Call of Duty schedule for that quarter. Meanwhile, a more polished and capable release would have garnered better fan and critical reception, and word of mouth would have led to better sales. Still, it's not uncommon for games to release too soon and just make a deadline, whether that's in order to fall within a certain financial period to appease shareholders, or for some reason, alas, in the case of Warcraft 3, Reforged, the game was simply not ready. And that's ultimately what this comes down to. Some bean counter at Blizzard or at Activision said, look, game's got to come out. And I think it's important to remind or remember that the developers, the people on the ground floor at Blizzard, aren't the ones making the decision to push this game out. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that developers at Blizzard knew this game was not ready. Anybody who was working on this game knew it wasn't ready. Anybody in QA at Blizzard knew it wasn't ready. It's not their fault that some suit up at the top decided we've got to shove it out there. We've got to get this money on the books so our investors are happy. Now, what's not going to happen, though, is they're not going to get the long tail sales that they would have had they put the game out in good shape, because, being totally honest, I never really played Warcraft 3, and it would have been something that I might have been interested in, but the way it released, the way that they've treated their customers, there's no way I'm paying money for that. And when you look at the vast size of the global market, there are probably millions of people that feel the same way. Had the game come out and been exactly what they offered us, or what they told us it would be, and it blew minds, you might have been able to not only resell the game to all your original fans, but bring on all sorts of new fans. Sadly, that's not the case. Now, you see Paul Tassi, Warcraft 3 Reforged, has a record low 0.8 on Metacritic as fans are furious. And let me tell you, this morning, breaking news, I've got an update to this. Blizzard is not exactly a developer looking for any more bad news after the last couple of underwhelming years. And yet, they have blundered into what might be the biggest controversy yet, and rather horrendous release of Warcraft 3 Reforged. I doubt this. I wouldn't say this is bigger than the Blitzchung thing, but, you did say perhaps. Fans were previously looking forward to a remastered, upgraded version of Warcraft 3 back when the idea was announced. While Classic went pretty well and everyone thought Warcraft 3 with some improvements to bring in the modern era would be a slam dunk. Instead, Blizzard tried to throw a buzzer beater from their own foul line and hit a small child in the stands. The ways Warcraft 3 Reforged have disappointed players have been numerous and in some cases bizarre. There are missing cutscenes, were promised, a core part of the game, marketing, the game is buggy, crashes frequently, and somehow has actually made the UI worse than the original. Reforged has actually stripped away features from the original game somehow as well. And the list is probably only half the issue fans are having with release. In short, it's a disaster. And very well might be a record-setting disaster at that. Of course, we have the long list of things here. Blizzard promised better cutscenes with improved graphics, cinematics, and voice work, but what they showed off at BlizzCon, even so far back as 2018, is not what we got in the final game. Gamers are reporting numerous bugs, crashes, hangups, assets not loading, and many other problems. Many users are experiencing login and connectivity issues. Now that both Reforged and the original game are on the same online infrastructure, those connectivity issues will impact the original as well. Some basic features of the original are no longer available in Remaster. The new user agreement gives Blizzard control of any user-created content. Fans are attempting to get refunds, some with more success than others. I'm not sure how accurate it is, but others are reporting being banned from Blizzard forums for complaining or asking for refunds. Take that with a grain of salt, but if true, that's a problem. Well, let me tell you, let me be the first to deliver. What an amazing award I'm about to deliver. Now, previously, the worst reviewed game in history on Metacritic, by my calculations, is Day 1 Gary's Incident. This is a game that came out in 2013 and based on 1,600 ratings is a 0.6. It was an incomplete, buggy mess that the internet at large got to make fun of. Now, this is even before really I was making YouTube videos about video games. But I remember watching like people like Jim Sterling and maybe even Total Biscuit back then. And yikes. But I'm happy to report that as of today, Warcraft 3 is now the lowest rated game in history. In history! Now, I may qualify that as major release. There may be some rando, like, indie release that's got a lower score. But for all... realistic purposes, this is now the worst rated game in history. Now, they both have a 0.6, you might argue, so you might say, well, that's a tie. Well, I'm going to say the fact that there's over 11,600 reviews giving it a 0.6 means that it is a far stronger 0.6. It has 10 times the number of low ratings as Gary's Incident, and I can only imagine how low it's going to continue to sink. I mean, this is an average rating of like, you have to pick between 0 and 1. That's what people are rating it. There are more zeros. I mean, there's only slightly more ones than zeros. That's how bad it is. Now, you see the reviewers out there just trying. They're doing their best. The media shills are just doing the best they can to say, but even they, 60, 60, 60, 70, WCCF Tech 75, that's ridiculous. So you have a single, as of it is right now, a single positive review and 5, quote, mixed. Well, if it's mixed, it's negative to me. So this is an unmitigated disaster for Blizzard, and welcome to the lowest rated computer game in history. Congratulations, Blizzard. Couldn't have happened to a better company. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.